A lot of times people will go to a party and they'll feel like they have no power over the food or drink at the party. It's there, I have to have it. But that's not a true statement, right? It's there. You might feel a desire to have it, but then you have to say to yourself, like, is this in service of my higher self? Hey, Evan, how are you?
Hello, I am fantastic.
I'm so happy you're here. Welcome to Emotional Eating Unwrapped. Our episode today is with Evan Cudworth. I'm just so excited. I feel like we share the same value system around sobriety and how to bring sobriety to life. And we kind of have, I think, creative ways to how we define sobriety. And so that's why we're really having this conversation today, because we connected over that. And I'm just really excited to just chat with you and really just have just kind of an organic, free-flowing convo.
I love it. That's the way the party should flow, right? The best parties are the organic ones.
Exactly, because just tell us how you define yourself. So I know for me, everyone knows how I define myself, and but I want you to define how you bring the theme of what you teach people. And I know you call yourself like you do bring the word party into the party. So why don't you explain?
Yeah. Well, first of all, just thank you for having me on, and for anyone listening. Yes, I go by the world's first party coach, but I want to make clear the party is the coach. The party is the arena in which all of our feelings of confidence, insecurity, love, connection, escape, it's the arena in which all of these things get practiced. And so while I sometimes stand in and try to offer a perspective on this party, I am making it up as I go along, much as all of us are. So anything you hear today, if it doesn't resonate with you, or if you feel like that's a strange perspective, totally valid.
Totally, right? It's like, take what you want and leave the rest.
Yeah, but I will say my mission is to reconnect humanity through party culture. I think we are in this really awesome wellness era of people are exploring what sobriety looks like for them in lots of different ways. And as millennials, I'm a millennial, we grew up with no concept of that as a possibility. And we're all figuring this out. And so how do we still have fun? How do we exist? How do we balance our wellness, our mental, emotional, spiritual sobriety with what we show up for and serve each other through humanity and through the party?
I love that. And so do you specifically use the party context as a way to teach? Or I know that in our just previous types of conversations before, you mentioned that you're also teaching people how to create a party within them, similar to how I teach people how to create a sense of equanimity and sobriety that doesn't, like, I feel like sobriety in modern terms means that you're giving something up. Whereas like the way that I think of sobriety is that you're creating a condition of equanimity so that you can have more joy, and it actually feels like you can include more into your life from a place of evenness and self-respect. So yeah. I feel like, do you have a similar type of feeling about that, or the way that you define that?
Yeah, so I want to ask you what your maybe current conception of partying is. But to preface that of what I do, I pull a lot from, have you ever heard Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way? Are you familiar with that at all?
Of course. Yeah. I work the Artist's Way. I started doing that in, I love it. It's like the free-flowing journaling, and you just kind of, I love the book. I love the workbook. I started doing it in 2017, I think was the first time that I actually made that a part of my everyday practice. So amazing, for sure.
So 2017 was when I first attempted it. And while I've made it through 2 times previously, it was I think these things take a while to hit. I'm actually on week 10 right now with the Chicago cluster, and we're doing a group for the third time this time. And revisiting now after having practiced morning pages for, 7 or 8 years, I'm getting so much more out of it. But that's all preface to say is Julia Cameron talks a lot about how an artist is merely a channel for whatever spirit comes in to create for us. And all the best artists talk about this. And I offer the same possibility for people in the party is there's a party within all of us that can be channeled. And in the past, some of us might have used alcohol, substances to access some of that party energy. And that's great. And I'm not morally opposed to any of those. I can be in room with anything happening and find love for that. For me, some of those channels began to be blocked with alcohol and substances. And so I had to create and humble myself and realize that there's this party within me that I can channel. And when I do that, the people I meet, the dances I get to have, the rooms I get access to, the way that I feel waking up on Monday is a fun, a different, and like awesome experience. And I love my life today as the result of some of these practices.
I love that. That's so awesome. I feel so similarly as you're talking. I'm like, yeah, alcohol, some external things that we look towards, not necessarily that they're good or bad, but it's really always your attitude to how you relate to something. That's always what I say. Like nothing is good or bad per se. It's really about how your nervous system, how your mindset, whatever you're bringing into your life, the way that you're relating to something. And for me, I really like to teach people how to find neutrality in relation to things, because then you can enjoy lots of things. Like I said, I have respect for people that are traditionally sober, like, abstinence. Like I think there's nothing wrong with that. And I also feel like the way that I feel better on Monday and the way that my clients and people that work with me feel better on Monday is when they are learning to have a neutral dynamic and relationship with external things that perhaps without that ability to be neutral could have, ramifications on Monday morning being like, oh my God, I feel like shit. Whether that's binging on too much food or whether that's trying to control yourself too much and you're missing out on fun, right? Or joy, or you're just like in your head and obsessing and not feeling good,
Yeah. I love this concept of neutrality. It's been coming up a lot in my work and life lately. Synchronicity, as Julie Cameron would say. What tests your neutrality nowadays?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
What tests my neutrality? Probably like old triggers that are coming up, unfood related. Actually, like just reactivity, more like interpersonal dynamics, like scarcity probably related, or just like lack of patience, right? Noticing how my reactivity, I would say, is probably the most affecting my neutrality. It actually is something that I made a huge intention to practice, probably like 2 months ago. I really recommitted because I was having really negative, just physical reactions to the way that I was allowing my mind to just like go into these different places. And I realized how I was getting swept up back into old thought processes, old reactivity, and how as much healing work as you do sometimes, it's crazy how it just continue to be, you just continue to be taught a lesson, given the opportunity to learn a new lesson. And, even with food, I still I'm not as reactive with food. I feel like I get that message very loud and clear at this point. And that's also something that I think becomes really great when you could view food noise, right, as something that is a messenger rather than something that's going to overpower you, right? Like I think that when you start to feel in control of a stimulation, emotion that's arising within you, it's not about needing to remove that in itself. It's about feeling like you can ride the wave of that and you are in the driver's seat of it.
Yeah, let me think on that for a second. So one way it triggers is showing up for me lately is I feel like I have found this peace and serenity and neutrality in many things. And yet when I notice people in my family like not practicing neutrality, I want to step in and be like, let's be neutral about this. And like completely hypocritically stepping in and offering advice where it's not wanted. I want to control other people's experience of their own neutrality.
Interesting.
And I think, as a coach and someone, this is something that I'm always working on. And I've made so much progress. And I have ways that I'm now able to ride that wave, if you've talked about, I'm able to be like, let's just see this a little bit longer. Instead of leaving that comment or sending the voice note, just like, let's be a little more patient in that space.
Oh, totally. So hard, right? That ability to be with the heat, the heat that comes in you. I really feel like that is my biggest thing these days, is to allow myself to just feel all that crazy energy that's coming, right? That compulsive energy to act, or to get mad at somebody, or to, be self-righteous about something. And then just being like, no, this is just an emotion. Like, this is very uncomfortable, or this is creating a lot of energy in me, but acting is not it wouldn't be the right action at this point.
Yes. Yeah. And so maybe this is a good way to talk a little bit about the party as an arena, and even in the concept of food, which is, while different from alcohol or substances, I think people might feel a very similar experience of going to a party and being like, parties are in many ways portals to consumption, right? It's like you're going to a dinner party, you're going to consume in a lot of ways. Like, that's why you're going. You paid a ticket to consume something.
Totally.
And I still deal with this a lot I love that dopamine rush, or that hit of I consume caffeine at just the right time so that I feel this way, so that I can do this thing. And I'd love to hear kind of how you talk through your clients around things like this. One of the things that I work with people is I have them kind of think about intentions versus expectations before they go into an event. So how would you like to feel before, during, and after? And I have them write this in a voice note, right? And not I want to feel, like everyone likes me, but these are emotions that we get. I would love to feel of service to the party. I would love to feel connected to my body. I would love to feel exhausted when I leave because I left it all on the dance floor, right? These are emotions that are not contingent on anything else. These are things that we can create for ourselves. And by visualizing and creating that as an intention for the place that you go into, I notice the noise drastically reduced.
I completely agree. I feel I do the similar thing with my clients as well. You're so right. Going to a party, I love that. I'm going to steal that consumption. Parties are portals to consumption. That's so true. I feel like that's such a great line. However, they also could be portals to, I think that a lot of times are portals to connection. When people are going to a party, there's often something that they're looking to feel at the party. And I think that our culture, there's often, if I'm relating to food, alcohol, whatever, there's often a substances at the party that I think we get misdirected to focus on those substances. And so I like to teach my clients that you're not going to the party to consume a substance. You're going to the party to have, or the event, to have an experience of connection or of some sort of non-substance related. The substance will be there, but there's layers and levels to that you can pull around that consumption piece depending on what's right for you. And so you need to know what's right for you where you are, right? Like a lot of times people will go to a party and they'll feel like they have no power over the food or drink at the party. Like, right? Like you have, like, it's there, I have to have it. But that's not a true statement, right? It's there. You might feel inspired or a desire to have it. But then you have to say to yourself, like, is this in service of my higher self or my vision for health? So I work on vision for health a lot with people. And it's not just like, I want to lose 30 pounds. Like, it's like it's a vision that has an ecosystem essentially. And, that's what I do. So you can feel different desires or pulls at you, but ultimately your North Star and where you make your decisions comes from your vision. You've built a good life. From the outside, it looks like you have it all together. You eat clean, you work hard, you take care of everyone. But there's this one area that still feels impossible to master, and that is food. You can eat perfectly all day and still end up in the kitchen at night wondering why you keep doing this. You promise yourself you'll start fresh tomorrow, and I know you mean it every single time. But the cycle, it always finds its way back, especially when you're stressed, when you're overwhelmed, or when you're just tired of being the one that's holding it all together. And I get it because I lived that way for years. And what I learned is this. The problem, it was never about food. It was the pressure underneath it, the perfectionism, the self-doubt, the part of me that never felt safe and secure to just be me. And that's why I created the sober eating sequence. It's a proven 3-phase method that rewires the emotional patterns and the belief systems driving overeating so you can relax, trust yourself around food, and release weight completely naturally, without force and without obsession. Because when your body feels secure, it lets go. The cravings quiet, the self-punishment, it softens, and food, it stops being the thing that you have to fix. This is not another plan. This isn't another rule book. It's a revolutionary transformation for your nervous system, for your body, and for your identity. So join the sober eating movement today.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And also, this stuff is so serious. And this is like, it's life and death seriousness. Some of the things we're talking about, really. Like I've spent a long time that's how serious a lot of this is. And also, when I call myself a party coach, when I talk about partying, like fun defeats all of this. Fun is like this spiritual, like when you're able to, you can't outcompete someone having fun. Like no matter how cringe it is, that person who's on the dance floor, who's like dancing and doing their thing, if they're having fun, like you can't beat it, and it breaks through almost every other barrier if you can allow fun into this very serious topic.
So I completely agree. I'm just curious, how do you, so you're a party coach. So I'm assuming that people come to you because they struggle with how to have fun, yes, either without substances or with substances in like a responsible way, or where they don't feel like crap, the next day, or they just maybe are somebody that can't access fun at all. So how do you go about that?
Yeah. So this is also, I wish there was like a one-stage process for some of these things. But as you've talked about, when you simply remove a substance or remove something, that space, whether that's boredom, whether that's anxiety, is like, that's really good and healthy. And all creativity occurs in between that space that is created. But what are we replacing that with, right? And if you don't have the tools or the runway, and if you've not created a portal for fun to exist in that space. If you have a story in your head that anxiety is what fills that space, or I'm an anxious person, or I'm an introvert, or any of these stories that you've told yourself about yourself or other people have told you, unwriting those stories, unlearning. I say party coach, most of my job is unlearning. Like, you already know all of the things, but we're unlearning, we're stripping away a lot of those things. And then your creativity and your natural self is going to fill up those spaces. But it's more than a one-step process, because when you I know people that 3-4 years of taking away alcohol and substances, and they've never had fun. And I just feel so bad for these people, because I believe, and I've seen fun become accessible, but they are being told stories and they hold on so tightly to these stories that fun is just not accessible to them because they're a certain type of person. Or if I allow myself to have fun, I will, go off the deep end. And in my experience, I've seen people create all these new cool ways to access fun if they're willing to go through that process.
Yeah, completely. I feel the same way with, people, when I work with people, so many people want to feel normal around food, but they want to be able to enjoy food, but they're so fearful of the desire they have and the pleasure they're going to feel eating it because of all the stories that are going to come in about the dangerous things that might happen around that, and then also, I think there's an identity loss too. Like, so many people, they want to be people that could have fun, but then you have to let go of the identity of somebody that is the person who doesn't have fun. I have a story like this when I was about myself, when I was in my mid-20s. I don't know if I told you this, but I grew up in a pretty religious environment. And so the tradition was that you'd get set up with people. Like, the focus was always on getting married, and you go to events where everything was about like meeting people and dating. And, it's like, if you weren't married at 25, you were a total disaster and like your life was a failure. But either way, I got married at 39. And I don't even think any people need to get married at all. But back then that was the case. So I would go to these things. I would go to the parties because it's like, that's what you have to do almost. Because I wasn't even at the place with my own self-worth that I ever thought to myself, I'm not going to go to the party. So I would go, but I would stand in the corner with my arms folded the whole time, kind of just like eye rolling and being like, this sucks. Everyone sucks. This sucks, Mm-hmm. And it sucked for me. Like, it's like the person who gets burned when you're holding a hot coal is you. And I remember this clear as day when I said to myself, I'm not going to be that person anymore that goes to this party and is just saying, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I have to focus on what I actually want to be and what I want to do and the energy that I'm looking to create. I can't be defined by not being this for the rest of my life. I'm not going to be like the person who's not this. Well, I'm not that. I'm not like this. I'm not like that. Instead, I'm going to be, I am this. I am like this. This is what I like. This is how I feel. This is what I want. And I need to go out and create that. But there's a certain level of vulnerability and exposure to admit that, and then put yourself in the position to say like, okay, I'm out there now, now I have to be out there and potentially get rejected and potentially feel all these other things rather than just, like bitterness, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that story. And, the ability to change our narratives, right? Something happens and we're able to do it. It's not as easy as it sounds, I think. But I've had probably a dozen similar moments. And I love my life, but it's hard to tell my stories on here because I've lived 20 different lives. I was the nerdy, introverted kid who was a cellist who nobody liked, but I was also president, and I became a theater kid, and then I became a frat boy, and then I moved to New York. I was like a raver, and then I, had to disappear and got into sports, and then I moved to LA and became sober, and I was a yoga teacher, and then I was surfing. Like, I've had all these different identity shifts.
Same.
And I'm not saying anyone has to shift or change, but I just want to offer the possibility that the ability to begin again with experience is available to you right now. You're not starting over. You're beginning again with experience.
I love
And
that.
it's the best way to live life, because I wake up every day a little bit smarter, but I allow myself to be dumb and to unlearn and to make mistakes. And it's my museum of failures is, you know, the Met one day might procure my museum of failures as like one of the greatest failures of all time. I've flopped publicly. I've had failed reality shows. I've failed on stage. My Instagram accounts and TikTok accounts have failed. I've been shut down. I've lost 5 or 6 businesses and startups. Like, all of those are there. And I look back on this museum as like, what an awesome, cool life I've gotten to live as the result of beginning again with experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just offering that for anyone who's listening is like, well, how hard is this to do this? You're not starting over, beginning again.
100%. And you're building, you're just building on life. You're creating the tapestry, right, of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when you think of it like that, I'm so similar. I was like, I got into college as a singer, and then, I was a hippie and I was a minimalist. I lived in a living room for a few years. I opened my yoga studio there. I became a yoga teacher. I was like a traveler. I became like a gypsy that went around. And my mom, I know she's always like, now, I'm so much more, I have all of that in me, but I definitely present now way more like, just way more. I've definitely like retired the hippie version of me, but it's in there, in some ways. I don't own a yoga studio anymore. I don't teach as much as I used to, but, I do practice every day. So I've collected different pieces of those identities and made them me. And, it's funny when I meet people along the way, they're like, I thought you were this. I thought you were that, you're not. Oh, so you're not doing yoga anymore? And I'm like, oh no, I am. I'm just not, that identity 100%, but I'd throw myself into these different identities, and I'd always allow myself to, have the chrysalis and then come out a butterfly and then go back, and do it again. And people would be like, oh, she's lost. Somebody once gave me that quote, those who wander are not always lost. One of my first, I worked at a hospital in New York City when I just became a dietitian. And that was the point where I actually would sit in the office sometimes, because I was writing songs at the time and I was like recording. So I'd be in the office like working on songs that I had instrumentals for. And my colleagues would be laughing at me. And then I would be like leaving in the middle to go to yoga in the middle of the day. And the nurses would know this. So one nurse actually gave me, and I think they could sense that I was like all these different people, at once, and was trying to like fit it into this one life. And so she gave me a card that said, those who wander are not lost. And I was like, thank you so much, and I've kept it actually. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that moment, and those people that at just the right time offer us something.
Mm-hmm.
You're bringing back a memory for me of, I was at a pretty dark point in my life. I had moved to New York and had a couple, failed businesses. My mother had passed away a couple years earlier, and I didn't know how to grieve. I was making it about me. I was very unhealed and wanted attention, and really the party scene was saving me, because without it, I would be isolated. I think I would be dead without the party scene, because it allowed me to be really chaotic and really crazy. And those people could hold my energy, and no one else, at least in my experience, could. I remember being on this beach party, dancing like a Burning Man beach party. And I had this really crazy acid trip at Burning Man that I was supposed to move to LA. And it sounded so crazy. And I remember I told it to some guy on the beach, and he grabbed me by the shoulder. He gently had my shoulders, and he said, you will go on to help a lot of people with this experience. And I'm like getting so, and like, I don't even know who this person was, but like nobody had told me that that was possible, you know? And at that moment, I don't know if I could have helped very much of anyone, but that alone, like that one random person on this beach in on a party, let me know that this pain that I was feeling and this selfishness that had consumed my life would become available for a different energy. It would transmute into a different way of being. And the ability I'm just so grateful. Like I've been able to help thousands of people, and some intimately, some large. I went on to become a yoga teacher. I went on to do some things that that version of me never could have imagined. And so parties being this portal, yes, to consumption, but portals to possibility, places that you might not meet that person or that thing, I find really inspiring as kind of this melting pot of emotions where new possibilities become available to us.
Yes, I love that. Amazing. Well, this was so great. I don't know if you have anything else you want to share, anything else you want people to know about you.
Yeah, let's just can we just talk briefly about Chicago? Right. I know you briefly you're like recently relocated here, and I just want to make a shout out. Like I grew up here and I've lived on the coast, and I'm just really inspired by what's happening in Chicago right now. There are these day parties happening where people from 20 to 60 are all out dancing to house music in Chicago.
Really? Where?
And for me, I've always felt, oh, there's some down in Hyde Park, like at the Point. They're doing these like Afro raves on the waterfront. There's this place called Club Capri at Castaways on Saturdays. And so there's just all these versions. And for me, partying is intergenerational. You know, like if you look back in history, it's weddings, you know, and I feel like we got so separated where we had this idea that partying was just for people in their 20s, or if you're in your 30s, you just party like this. And so I just want to make a shout out that I see more in Chicago than I did in LA and other places, that there's this intergenerational like party mixture that's happening. And I'm grateful to be a part of it.
That's so cool. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Huh.
So wherever you're at, if you're listening to this, you know, just get on Eventbrite. Get on there's like Facebook events. I don't know where you still go, but like if you just do some searches, like look for daytime dance parties, and there's a lot of them cropping up right now.
I know there was Daybreaker in New York.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So there was that. Yeah. What do you do though if you're genuinely like me, who doesn't love the stimulation of parties really? Mm-hmm. You know, that it's just not what I don't gravitate towards that. Mm-hmm. You know, I love a dinner party. I love, it's not like I'm antisocial or anything, but I love a party in advance that I know of, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like when there's a wedding coming up, I'm excited for that, but I genuinely don't find I find it's overly stimulating for me.
Yeah. Well, do you feel like there's anything missing from your life, or do you feel pretty happy with the way that things are flowing?
I feel like I just moved here, so I could be more social. So I think this is so important, because like I feel like I could be more social, but big day parties with like a lot of sound and music, with not going with the group of people that I already know, right? Mm-hmm. So for example, we went away for my birthday. This past year, I turned 45. We went to St. Bart's, and we did this day party at Gypsy. We had lunch, and it was a day party. It was amazing, but I was there with my, really close friend and her husband and another couple. And it was so fun. We were there all day, and I didn't feel depleted energetically. Mm-hmm. But I find that if I don't go with my own like nucleus of people, I don't really know how to kind of navigate that energy. It's a lot for me.
Yeah. And that's so, I think there's so many different types of people. Like we need people that are the nucleus friend people. I think I'm I'm a floater, right? And I think that's okay. If you felt like there was something drastically missing from your life, that's kind of what I do as a coach. But if you're kind of happy with what you have,
Okay.
then I don't think you need to change it. But for anyone that feels like anxiety or something like that is holding them back from partying,
Mm-hmm.
is your anxiety ego?
Mm.
You
And
know,
can you like
yeah.
expand on that?
So I often ask questions like, why are you so important that you need to be entertained? Are you not there to offer? What if somebody else there really needs you to walk up to them and let them know that they belong?
So
Let
that's
us seek to comfort rather than be comforted. um, yeah.
that's so interesting because I do feel like we do that takes a lot of inner belief. Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
an inner self worth to say I can add value rather than am I
Mm-hmm.
going to be judged or am I going
Mm-hmm.
to like how am I going to be perceived? And I
Mm-hmm.
do think especially for I think a lot of women that and men, it's definitely more women I know from the
Mm-hmm.
statistics, but
Mm-hmm.
men too, who listen to this podcast. I know that in certain areas of their lives, they feel that way. Like how, like I'm adding value. A lot of times it's productivity, like work, because most of my audience are like badass, like amazingly, like really from like that work lane, add so much value.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to their personal lane, it's such a different place that they experience energy with people and
Mm-hmm.
how give and receive energy in social situations. And so that reframe I feel like requires a lot of inner work to get to the place where you can go somewhere and say, wow, I'm going here and I'm going to impact people rather
Mm-hmm.
than I'm going to be judged by people or things like that.
Yes. Yeah, this opens up a whole thing about I have videos I talk about how partying increases social trust by, when we're sorted into algorithms and we have all of our terminology of how we self-identify, all of our attachment styles and like all of
Yeah.
these things. And again, to close it out, I know we want to close, but when I go out and if I am willing to just be perceived and I go out and dance on the dance floor, I am actually serving the party. If I go
Totally.
out and somebody else is on the sideline and I'm simply go and have a conversation with them or say, hey, I love your dress, and I walk away, I have served that party by being in a more grounded state, but helping someone else feel positively perceived in a space. And so you don't need a lot of energy to do that if you want to. And sometimes the selfishness in me, I need to go let off steam and I'll go dance. And I don't talk to anyone the whole time. And I don't allow people to talk to me. But I know I'm still serving the party because I am creating an energy that it's possible to be that thing in that party.
And you're also acting with integrity with yourself and you're
Mm-hmm.
fully self agencyed. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, regardless of whether you're open to be a portal for receptivity and you're kind of available for flow
Mm-hmm.
interpersonally, you're still coming from a place of integrity, and that energy has an aura. I think that people can get benefit from, even if you're closed off to the flow of energy of the communication potentially.
Yes. And it's all symbiotic. I have so much trouble with like slogans for myself. For why it was like, stop spectating, like go participate. But it's like, we can't have sports without spectators. We need spectators. Like everything is symbiotic. But again, what I represent as the party coach is I'm a little bit of a mischief. I'm the fool walking off into saying, I don't know I'm going to step off a cliff and see what happens. And if you're feeling stagnant or lost or stuck, I just want to offer you the possibility that the party might be a place that you find something that's better than you imagined for yourself.
I love that. What an awesome intention. I love it. Where can we find you online? Do you have?
Well, yeah. So partycoach.me. And then if you just search Party Coach on Instagram or TikTok, I've been doing a lot of silly dances and I'm bringing some yoga in lately too. So maybe we'll see a little bit of
Nice.
that.
Well, since I know we live like 3 blocks from each other, so perhaps we could do a yoga collab.
I would love that. Yeah.
Yes, that would be fun. Haven't done that in a while. That would be good. Yeah. And I am intrigued about these the Artist Way morning pages thing that you're doing. I'd love to know about that.
Yeah.
So maybe I would partake in it.
Yes. Yeah. It's really fun. These exercises are so valuable and they help me as a coach a lot too.
But you're doing it as a group, you said?
We're doing it as a group. Yeah. And we're finishing up the week right now, but I honestly might do it again. So maybe we can do it again. So
if you do it again, because I'm not going to jump in the middle, but if you do it again, please let me know because I would love to go through that energy and that process again in a group. I think that would be so
it's great
helpful.
In a group. It's awesome.
Yeah, the first time I did it, I don't think I would have been available to it. I think it was different, but now I think it would be really great. Like you said, right? When you're ready for something, it arrives. That's usually how it goes. Well, this has been awesome, Evan. Oh my God. Thank you so much for chatting. I hope that you guys love this episode. I know it's a little bit different, but we want to bring some different energy and different perspectives. And, we're all complex creatures with lots of different things going on, lots of different ways to grow ourselves and, just feel good about ourselves. So I wanted to bring Evan in because he's so cool and has such a cool story and such a great platform. And I'm just so happy we can make this work. And if you are listening to our podcast and feel inspired to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, leave us a 5-star rating and a review helps us to get heard and pushed up by the algorithm and all that jazz. And if you know someone who's interested in something like this, feel free to share the episode because, we can make impact with people in little ways. So thank you so much again. I'm Alana, and thank you for listening to Emotional Eating Unwrapped.